On December 1st, 1934, a Communist Party official named Sergei Kirov was shot dead in a Leningrad hallway. Many historians now believe Joseph Stalin himself may have orchestrated the killing of his own ally. He used it as the excuse to begin the deadliest political purge in Soviet history. Officially, 681,692 people were executed over the next 4 years, with another 116,000 dying inside the Gulag labor camp system. Independent historians estimate the true total reaches as high as 1.2 million dead. Think about that. Kirov's murder, whoever was truly behind it, became the spark for a wave of terror that would eventually devour nearly 1 million lives. The killing gave Stalin the justification he needed to launch a sweeping crackdown on so-called enemies of the people. The NKVD, the Soviet secret police, first under Genrikh Yagoda, then under an even more ruthless successor named Nikolai Yezhov, began arresting suspected political opponents, including men who had once stood beside Stalin as trusted allies. What followed became known as the Moscow trials, a series of highly publicized show trials designed less to prove guilt than to broadcast fear across the entire country. In August 1936, 16 prominent former Bolshevik leaders, including Grigory Zinoviev and Lev Kamenev, men who had once helped lead the revolution itself, were paraded through a courtroom, forced to confess to fabricated conspiracies, and sentenced to death. A second trial followed in January 1937. A third in March 1938, this one targeting Nikolai Bukharin, one of the party's most respected theorists, accused of plotting to murder Lenin 2 decades earlier. Nearly every defendant was executed. But the purge reached far beyond a handful of famous names. Stalin turned his suspicion toward the Red Army itself, terrified that its own commanders might one day move against him. Marshal Mikhail Tukhachevsky, considered one of the most brilliant military strategists in Soviet history, was accused of secretly plotting with Nazi Germany and executed in 1937. The purge that followed devastated the entire officer corps, with an estimated 35,000 military officers arrested or executed in total. This single decision would have devastating consequences years later. When Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, the Red Army found itself catastrophically unprepared, its most experienced leadership already dead, killed not by any foreign enemy, but by their own government. Ordinary citizens fared no better. NKVD troikas, 3-person tribunals with the power to issue swift, extrajudicial sentences, processed staggering numbers of cases with almost no due process at all. More than half of the Communist Party's own Central Committee, 78 out of 139 members, were purged. More than a third of the entire Politburo was eliminated. Across the Soviet Union, an atmosphere of pure paranoia took hold. Neighbors denounced neighbors. Children were encouraged to report disloyal parents. Citizens lived in genuine terror of a knock on the door in the middle of the night, understanding that the accusation itself, true or invented, could be enough to end a life. By 1938, even Stalin's own machinery of terror had grown unsustainable. The NKVD could no longer process the sheer volume of accusations flooding in. Nikolai Yezhov, the man who had overseen the purge's bloodiest phase, was himself arrested and later executed, becoming one final casualty of the system he had built. The Great Purge officially ended in November 1938, but the terror it created never truly stopped. Additional waves of repression continued for the rest of Stalin's life, resurfacing during World War II against soldiers accused of treason for simply retreating under enemy fire, and again in his final years through a fabricated conspiracy known as the Doctor's Plot, targeting Jewish physicians in the Kremlin. Only Stalin's own death in March 1953 prevented what many historians believe would have become an entirely new purge. He was never overthrown, never put on trial, never held accountable in any meaningful way for what remains one of the deadliest campaigns of political terror in modern history. What does it say about power when a leader can orchestrate the deaths of nearly 1 million of his own citizens and simply die peacefully of old age instead? Drop your take below.